My name is Kelvin, and I'm 48 years old. I'm the leader of the Howard gang. However, I've kept this a secret from my wife. To her, I've always been just a regular office worker who can't even fight. That way, she feels safer. At least, that's what I thought. But one day, everything changed when I came home from work. It all began when I arrived at the front door and noticed a pair of men's shoes. "I'm home, Megan. I'm back." Normally, my wife would greet me right away, but this time, she didn't. The house felt cold, almost as if it wasn't expecting me back. A few months ago, our son, who had been a college student, moved out after starting his job. I called out to my wife again. "Megan? Where are you?" Thinking she wasn't the type to play hide and seek, I started opening doors and heading toward the bedroom. That's when I heard laughter coming from the bedroom. "What's this? Hiding in the bedroom?" I said this and opened the door. But in that moment, what I saw was my naked wife entangled with the muscular body of another man. The two of them were completely entwined together. "Megan." I could barely say her name, my voice trembling. "Oh, you're back, honey." Pinned beneath the man, my wife looked at me. Her face showed no guilt, no shame, and no panic. In fact, it almost seemed like she was challenging me. What are you doing? What does it look like I'm doing? What's going on? Why are you doing this?" My mind went blank, unable to process what was happening. The woman I loved, my wife, was laughing at me under another man. Most men might have fled the scene in humiliation. But I just stood there, unable to move. The man got up from on top of my wife, turned to face me, and said, "Wait, aren't you the leader of the Turner gang?" He was Alex Turner, the leader of the Turner gang. With a cigarette dangling from his mouth, he leisurely exhaled a puff of smoke. Then, grinning, he looked me up and down. "Hey, what the hell are you standing there for?" "What? I'm having a good time with your wife here. Don't get in the way." It seemed he didn't recognize me. It's true that there's a world of difference between me as a gang leader and me pretending to be an office worker. It's no wonder he couldn't recognize me. Let me tell you, this guy is such a weakling. I only married him because I thought he was a stable office worker. But honestly, he's so boring. What, just an office worker? Megan took the cigarette from the man and inhaled deeply before blowing out the smoke. "Megan, you're smoking. So what? It's just a cigarette. I only quit because you're so uptight. It was exhausting pretending for your sake. I always wanted to smoke. But I had to hold back. Even if I snuck one, you'd smell it on me. Acting like the perfect wife was so draining. Pretending. Are you saying everything until now was an act?" "Exactly. It was all just an act. But now that our kids moved out, there's no need to pretend anymore." "That's exactly right. The kids moved out, so you might as well become my woman now." "You've got to be kidding. You didn't know this, did you? I'd been bored of you for years. I married you on a whim when I was young, but I've always wanted a strong man. Like this one here. This can't be true." "Oh, it's true. But you always said you wanted a peaceful life. That was just for the kid. We couldn't have a chaotic life with a child in the house, could we? You were perfect for raising him. But now that he's gone, I want something more thrilling in my life." "A thrilling life? What does that even mean? This man here is a gang member, you know. And not just any gang, he's the leader of the Turner gang. He has countless subordinates. And his strength is undeniable. Look at his powerful physique, the scars, the tattoos, they're captivating. Meanwhile, you don't even have a single scar, unless you count the ones from falling over as a kid. I have no interest in a man like you. So, you really wanted a strong man all this time?" "That's right. A man has to be a gang member, someone who walks with a swagger and commands respect. Anything less is just dull. Is that really what you've thought all this time? Too bad for you. Turns out your wife despises weak men like you. You should just give up. Give up. Yeah, that's right. You can't beat me because I'm the leader of the Turner gang, after all. I see, so if I were a gang member, that'd be enough? Ha ha. What are you talking about? A boring office worker like you could never become a gang member. Even if you quit your job now, you'd never be strong enough like a gang leader. What a joke. Is that so? Of course it is. Right? Could you imagine this guy becoming a gang member and actually making something of himself? Not a chance. Look at this scrawny guy, how could he survive in the gang world? His wife's being taken by another man. And he doesn't even get angry or yell. He's got no guts or backbone. No way he could cut it. Exactly. That's why it's impossible for you. Becoming a gang member isn't something just anyone can do. You might as well just agree to a divorce. Divorce? Yes. I've decided to remarry him. I'll become his wife, the wife of a gang leader. It's the dream, isn't it? What nonsense are you talking about? If you become his wife, what about our child? He'll be devastated. Our son has always said he admires strong men, so I'm sure he'll understand when he sees who I'm remarrying. After all, an office worker with just a few years left until retirement is nothing but boring. Now, shall we pick up where we left off? Yeah, let's do that. Enough. This is my house. Don't do this here. That's our bed, the bed where we once shared love. Ha! You think that matters now? That bed has seen us countless times already. Too late for regrets. What? This isn't the first time? Of course not. We've used this place plenty while you were at work. You leave early and come back late, so it's perfect for us. Yeah, that's right. So get out of here already. We're not finished yet. Alex said as he got up from the bed and walked toward me. Under normal circumstances, someone like Alex would be no match for me. But the shock of the situation had drained all the strength from my fists. I was barely able to remain standing. Hey, I told you to get out. Are you deaf? You're the one who should leave. This is my house. Don't make me laugh. If you don't leave, I'll knock you out. Go ahead and hit me if you want. But this is my house, and she's my wife. You still want this woman after all this? You've got to be kidding. I can't stay married to you anymore. I glared at Alex. The thought of having my wife stolen by a man like him filled me with hatred. Yet, even after all that had been said, I couldn't bring myself to drop the facade of being an office worker in front of her. You little, what are you staring at? Alex lunged at me and began throwing punches, and I didn't even try to fight back. I didn't understand why I wasn't resisting. Maybe I wanted to disappear beaten and broken, it seemed like an escape. After all, a world without my wife held no meaning for me. As I collapsed to the floor, I faintly heard my wife's voice in the distance. Alex, stop. This is bad. If you keep going, you'll get arrested. Let's get out of here. The two of them hurriedly dressed, shoved me aside with a kick, and ran toward the front door. I heard the door slam and their footsteps grow fainter as they left. This can't go on. If I'm gone, what will happen to the group? In my fading consciousness, I reached for my phone and called Trevor, my trusted assistant. Hello? Trevor, is that you? Yes, it's me. What's going on? Mr. Howard? What's wrong? Where are you? At home. Mr. Howard. What's happening? Mr. Howard. Trevor's voice grew fainter and fainter, and as the strength drained from my hand, the phone slipped away, and I collapsed helplessly to the floor. 10 minutes later, it happened. It was unusual for me to call from home, so when Trevor received the call, he immediately suspected something was wrong. Without hesitation, he rushed over to my house. He found the door unlocked, pushed it open, and rushed inside, only to discover me collapsed on the floor. Half my body sprawled out from the bedroom into the hallway. When Trevor saw me, he couldn't help but mutter, "This is bad," out loud. Trevor quickly called an ambulance and had me rushed to the hospital. After X-rays and a CT scan, I was admitted for further treatment. Apparently, I had fractured ribs. That explained why I had such difficulty breathing. When I regained consciousness, several executives in my group were gathered in my hospital room. "Mr. Howard, you're awake. Thank goodness." The doctor was called in to confirm my condition, and once he assured everyone I would be fine, relief washed over their faces. "Mr. Howard, what happened? How did it come to this? Who did this to you?" They bombarded me with questions, but I couldn't bring myself to admit it had all started with catching my wife in an affair. Still, the men were clamoring to find out who was responsible, ready to hunt them down and make them pay. I didn't know how to handle the situation. Admitting that my wife had been stolen felt utterly humiliating. However, staying silent would only cause more worry among my men. At that moment, Trevor spoke up. "Mr. Howard, I know something serious must have happened, something you don't want to share with everyone. But if you stay silent, it will affect the morale of the men. If left unchecked, they'll start searching for whoever did this to you, and we won't be able to stop them. Please, if you can't tell everyone, at least tell me what happened." Trevor's words made sense. I closed my eyes for a moment, realizing I couldn't let this drag on, and decided to tell Trevor everything that had happened that day. "All right, here's what happened. That day, when I got home." I recounted the entire story to Trevor, who listened quietly. When I finished, he looked shocked. "No way, the madam did that? I can't believe it." Yeah, I couldn't believe it either. I kept it hidden all this time, but it turns out she's always liked strong men. If she'd told me that from the start, I wouldn't have wasted all this effort. It's ridiculous. So, you just let him beat you up? Pathetic, I know. But yeah, that's what happened. I couldn't bring myself to fight back. I've spent so long pretending to be weak in front of her that I couldn't show her my true self. And after seeing her with another man like that, I couldn't muster any strength. I see. But your words got me thinking, Trevor. I can't just let this go. If I don't strike back, the men won't respect me anymore. We'll make them pay. Double. Exactly. Mr. Howard. I was worried you'd lose your fire, but I'm glad you're back to your old self. Thanks, Trevor. If it weren't for you, I might have stayed a spineless fool. Now, find out everything about Alex, the Turner gang leader. Once I recover, I'll pay him a proper visit. Understood. I'll start investigating Alex right away. A month later, Trevor returned with a full report on Alex. Mr. Howard, I've looked into Alex. Good. What kind of man is he? I know his face and name, but not much else. Well, it turns out he's quite the scumbag. His gang group is small and has only been around for a few years. Most of his men are thugs and lowlives. Not real gang. They call themselves an organization, but they're far from respectable. I see. They're involved in trafficking women into shady nightlife businesses, extorting money in the process. Alex himself isn't married, though he's been divorced several times. What, he's been married multiple times? Yes, and always to younger women. He uses them until they're no longer useful, then gets them hooked on drugs and sells them overseas. That's horrible. But why would he go after Megan? She's already 44. She's past the age where she could be exploited like that. Exactly. I mean, no disrespect to Madam, but she's not the type of woman Alex would typically go for. So I did some digging around him and found out. He's serious about her. Serious? Yes. Alex himself is 50, and it seems he's thinking about settling down. Despite the gang being made up of thugs, it's beginning to take some shape as an organization. He probably sees Madam as the perfect fit to solidify his position. He wants to make her the Madam of the Turner gang, huh? That seems to be the case. But it's not clear about whether he's truly serious. Alex has a reputation as a womanizer, and even now, he has other women on the side, including some younger ones. What's his plan for Megan, then? My guess is, he'll eventually cash in on the younger women while having Madam manage the younger subordinates. That's likely his long-term strategy. I see. Still, exploiting innocent women for profit, it doesn't sit right with me. Agreed. I can't understand why anyone would fall for someone like him. So, what's Megan up to these days? She's acting like she's already his wife. They're apparently planning to get married soon. And she's already bossing his subordinates around like she owns the place. Megan? Doing that? Yes, hard as it is to believe. Even Turner's men don't seem to have much respect for her. It felt so unlike the Megan I once knew. But come to think of it, my subordinates never came to my house, and in ordinary society, it would be unthinkable for a wife to act as the leader around her husband's subordinates. It would only be acceptable for the wife of a company president or chairman. Or perhaps someone with significant influence could do such a thing. I see. So, Megan isn't the woman I thought I knew anymore. That's how it seems. Though I felt a pang of sadness, I began to wonder if this was the real Megan all along. From her complaints about a lack of excitement and her preference for strong men, it became clear what Megan wanted was a life where she could dominate as Alex's wife, commanding his subordinates and reigning supreme. If she's gone that far, then I don't need to hold back anymore. All right. After I'm discharged, we'll prepare to strike immediately. What about Megan? Are you planning to bring her back? Trevor's question made me recall an incident from a few days ago. Megan had shown up, wearing makeup so extravagant I barely recognized her, dressed in expensive clothes. Long time no see, Kelvin. How's your injury? She had a mocking smile on her face. Survived, huh? Turns out you're tougher than I thought. By the way, what's with this fancy room? And guards outside the door? Pretty unusual for a regular office worker. Yeah, it's a bit much. Well, whatever. I don't care about your status now. It doesn't interest me. So, why are you here? What do you want? I heard you were in the hospital, so I thought I'd come see how you were doing. Is that your way of saying you were worried? Ha! Not at all. I couldn't care less about you. But I do have a reason for coming. What reason? This. Megan pulled out a pristine white envelope. What's this? Divorce papers. I can't marry Alex unless we're divorced. You're serious about marrying him? Of course. I'd been waiting for this moment. If you had just died, I wouldn't have had to go through this hassle. But you're annoyingly resilient. I see. You probably don't want a divorce, but I can't stay with you. This is inevitable. So hurry up and sign it. You'll regret this if you divorce me. Regret it? Don't make me laugh. There's nothing to regret about leaving some ordinary office worker. I can't wait to be Alex's wife. Once I am, I'll officially become the madam of his gang. Is that so? Then I guess I don't have to hold back anymore either. Oh, what are you planning to do without holding back? Are you going to have fun with other women now? Well, go ahead. Whatever you do with whoever. It has nothing to do with me. Fine, I'll divorce you. Hand me the pen. Here you go. Megan smiled gleefully as she handed me the pen. I signed the divorce papers, handed them back to her, and she promptly left the hospital room. As I let out a breath, Trevor entered the room, replacing Megan. What will you do about Madam? Trevor, you ask a good question. Megan's no longer my wife. I have no hesitation in sending that woman straight to hell. Trevor looked at me intently, as if he understood everything, and gave a firm nod. 3 months later, after completing my rehabilitation, I was discharged from the hospital. Congratulations on your discharge, Mr. Howard. The members who came to pick me up were thrilled to see me back. Thanks. Now I can finally go settle the score. But you just got out of the hospital. Wouldn't it be better to rest at home for a while? Trevor, I've been waiting for this day. I promised myself that once I was discharged, I'd pay them a visit. I can't relax until I've settled this. Gather the men, we're heading to Alex's office right now. Got it? Understood. I'll summon the members immediately. Good. Do it. Trevor made the call, declaring our plan to raid Alex's office. The men, eager for action, quickly gathered. Leading the group, I headed toward Alex's office. Trevor, how many men does Alex have? Around 30. Then this'll be a breeze. Exactly. They're just thugs, so they don't stand a chance. The only real threat is Alex himself. I see. For now, Mr. Howard, stay back. We'll handle the small fry. Fine. I wouldn't want my wounds reopening. But Alex is mine, don't interfere. Understood. Take your time with him. And about Madam, are you sure it's okay to do to her too? Yeah, no need to hold back. Got it. She's usually at the office, so she should be there today as well. Good to know. When we arrived at Alex's office, we stormed up the narrow stairs. The building was an old apartment, with a piece of cardboard taped beside the metal door reading Turner Gang. What's with this pathetic excuse for a sign? Mr. Howard, hang on a moment. Trevor pressed the doorbell. A young man's voice came from inside, asking who it was. Trevor replied, "Delivery." The sound of a lock turning followed. At that moment, Trevor, who had been holding the doorknob, yanked the door open. The man on the other side, not expecting such a move, stumbled forward as the door swung wide. Trevor handed the man off to the other members and stepped into the room without hesitation with his shoes on. The rest of the crew followed, pouring in and swiftly taking down the men inside. Caught off guard by the sudden raid, the thugs were in disarray. Some panicked and ran to avoid being hit, while others attempted to fight back, only to be swiftly overpowered by the professional gang. As we moved deeper into the office, we found Alex sitting at the back, with Megan next to him, her face twisted in shock at the sudden intrusion. Just as Trevor had described, she acted every bit like the leader's wife. But when Megan saw me, her expression shifted to one of utter confusion, as if she couldn't comprehend why I was there. Why is Kelvin here? What's going on? Who is he? My ex-husband. What? Hey, Megan. Still remember me? Remember you? What's going on here? Why, are these guys gang? That's right. These guys are all my subordinates. Subordinates? Gang? What are you talking about? No need to be so shocked. You like strong men, don't you? I kept my gang life a secret for your sake, so we could live peacefully. But the truth is, I'm the leader of the Howard Gang. The Howard Gang? What? What's the Howard Gang? The Howard Gang is a massive gang organization. Wait, you mean bigger your group? That's right. So why did you hide something so important from me? Hide? I just found out now. Exactly. I never once told her I was a gang leader. It's fine, isn't it? I mean, last time, you got beaten to a pulp. There's nothing to be scared of. He's so weak. Yeah, that's right. Even if my subordinates get beaten, there's no way I'd lose. You think so? Do you really believe the leader of the Howard Gang would lose to some small-time gang of thugs like this? What are you saying? I beat you last time, didn't I? That's because it caught me off guard. Seeing my wife moaning under a pig like you was enough to kill my fighting spirit. But today, that's not going to happen. With that, I leapt onto Alex's desk, kicking off everything on top of it. Pointing my wooden sword at Alex's face, I gave him a wicked grin. Now, Alex, what should I do with you? I'd like to repay you for what you did last time, sending me to the hospital. It's only fair, isn't it? Alex, hurry up and beat him up. I got it. Hey! Boys, take him out. Too bad for you, Alex. Look around. All your guys are lying on the ground, beaten senseless. Not a single one can move. Did you really think the Howard Gang would lose to your group of thugs? Not a chance. That can't be. What's so hard to believe? You're the biggest fool here. All this for that woman, without even knowing who you were up against. At that moment, Alex grabbed Megan by the arm, pulled her in front of him, and picked up a box cutter from the desk, pressing it against her neck. Hey! You care what happens to this woman, don't you? She's the one you love, right? Keep this up, and she's going to the afterlife. Ah! What are you doing? Shut up! Women like you are a dime a dozen. Go to hell for all I care. No. Help me. How about it? You love her, don't you? You want to save her, right? How troublesome. Please, help me. Megan, you're no longer my wife. Alex, do whatever you want. I couldn't care less about a woman like her anymore. She's just trash you've already played with. No. You. Shut up. You reap what you sow, so give up already. This is the gang world you wanted so badly. No. Save me. Alex flinched at my unexpected response, and I didn't miss the opportunity. Swinging my wooden sword, I struck him hard and leapt down, pinning him to the ground as I pummeled him. Megan, watching in horror, began backing away toward the door. But Trevor, noticing her movements, quickly grabbed her. When Alex was beaten to the point he couldn't even speak, I turned to Megan. Seeing my glare, she let out a small scream, then realizing she was cornered, suddenly started pleading. Please, it's not what you think. Alex threatened me. I wanted to come back to you, but I couldn't because of him. Please, give me another chance. You're the only one I love. I shifted my gaze from Megan to Alex, pointing my wooden sword at him again. Disband your gang group. You've got to be kidding. How could I disband the gang group I worked so hard to build? Take the woman, she's yours. Just let me go. You're the one joking. I told you, I have no interest in that woman anymore. Who would want her after you've used her? If you don't disband, I'll take your life instead. No way. I don't tell jokes or lies. No, please, spare me. That's not happening. You'll reflect on your life inside a drum. Hey, stuff him into a drum and sink it into the sea. No, please. Spare me. I'm begging you. Kelvin, please. Help me. I was just being threatened by him. Please, I'm begging you. Megan, I've figured out exactly what you're about. So, I'll let you do something useful for society at the end of your life. What? Something useful for society? Take Megan to be a test subject. A test subject? No. Please, stop. Kelvin, I'll apologize, I promise. Please, forgive me. Both of them screamed and begged, but I didn't relent. My men took them away without hesitation. Alex was sunk into the sea in a drum, and Megan was sent to a research facility as a human test subject. Afterward, even though we were divorced, I felt I owed Megan's parents an explanation. When I visited her family home, it had been a long time since I'd last seen her parents. They looked much older and seemed confused as to why Megan hadn't come with me. I decided to tell them everything about what had happened. Of course, I knew they might resent me for it, but I couldn't bring myself to lie to her parents, who were waiting for her. To my surprise, after hearing the whole story, her parents wept and apologized to me. They said it was inexcusable for Megan to have an affair with a gang member the moment our child left home. They admitted they bore some responsibility for raising a daughter like that and bowed to me repeatedly in apology. I had told her parents, she'll probably return in about 3 years. However, since she's being used as a test subject for medical research, she's bound to come back in a completely broken state. Even so, her parents tearfully said they were simply grateful that she was alive. 3 years later, just as I said, Megan came back. However, when she was tossed out of a car that stopped in front of the house, she was utterly broken, so weak that she couldn't even stand. Her parents, embracing her frail, ragged body as if she were a tattered rag, wept with relief and expressed their joy at her survival. Sadly, not long after, her parents passed away. Thanks to Megan, however, new medicines were developed, and they are now helping people suffering from illnesses.